Alrighty guys, so this is the video I've been wanting to make for a very, very long time. I'm about to give you a full training on the complete process that I used at Imperium Acquisition closing for Charlie Morgan for 2 years to close tens of thousands of dollars worth of deals every single month consistently. And this is going to be an entire framework, entire process breaking down everything from discovery, pitch, pricing, retie, objection handling, the entire process. Okay, and I'm going to go step by step through everything that you need to know and all the kind of nitty details. Full transparency, this is going to be a bit more of an overview. Okay, you could literally spend 50 hours training every single part of this process, which obviously, as I've mentioned, is the plan long term. Okay, but what I want to do today is give you guys a tangible full entire sales process and training that you can use to take into your calls tomorrow to start doing, start learning, and actually get to the truth and actually start closing more deals. Okay, so let's get started. We all know we start with a discovery in a sales process. Okay, so discovery, this is sort of a simplified version of the script that we use at Imperium, but I still think it's a very, very good process. Okay, so really briefly frame the call. There's some sort of conversations about this. You don't need too much rapport here. Don't sit here for 10, 15 minutes asking about, their day, the football match, whatever. Act professional, be professional. They're business owners. You're a business owner. Get straight to the point. Okay, so what I want to do today is just start by asking some questions about your business and yourself, just to make sure you actually need any help. Now, this is a little different from what we did at Easy Grow, but with the one-on-one client that I've been working with recently, I've found in the sort of agency space in particular, people are getting a little bit sort of hesitant around sales calls. They've been on so many, they've been on, they've been burnt in the past. So just to make sure you actually need any help is kind of a good way of framing it, in my opinion, just to be like, look, I'm genuinely curious if you need my help. You might not need it. The more information you can give me, the better. I will be able to customize our solution. It's just kind of like gets them ready to be like, all right, I'm going to share a lot with this person to kind of make sure that everyone's aligned, and it's going to help you get some better answers to your question. So very simply, what prompted you to book the call with me today? Whether it's cold outreach or an ad, YouTube content, whatever they've booked from, they're basically going to give you an answer here that kind of starts to expose, why they're here. Whatever your service is, they're obviously going to talk a little bit about the problem, okay, and kind of what stood out about you, which is great. Now, if they say things like, I liked the way you outreached me, I liked your ad, you can kind of bank that stuff for the pitch, okay, to pitch value and what you do for yourself and how it's going to work for them. Or they're going to kind of just dive into their problem. Okay, now we don't want to dig into their problem straight off the top of the call, right? So bank what they give you. Okay, if they start going on too long of a tangent, you can kind of interrupt with, yeah, look, that's all really important information. I just want to kind of ask, how long have you been running the business for? Cool, so now we're getting a bit more of like, okay, is this a problem that they've been struggling with for 6 months? How experienced are they? This is something they've been struggling with for 10 years. This is going to give us a lot of leverage in terms of how long they've had the problem for, because problem times time is just, pain increasing, right? So the longer you've had a problem, the longer it's been going on for, the more pain and the more urgency. But we don't want to dig in too much to what they've been doing, why they've been running it for that long. Just kind of get to the point. Now, this is always an important thing. You guys are all going to be doing some sort of client act, like lead generation or like something to get more clients through the door. That's almost every single agency I ever spoke to, right? So just so I can paint a picture, what does an ideal qualified lead, ideal qualified client look like for you? This is great. We're going to get lots of leverage from this question to go into problem. So just kind of keep that in mind. Lots of leverage from this question if we go into problem based on the quality of the leads they're getting right now. Okay, so straight away, and look, if you don't mind me asking, just so I can get a gauge on the size of the business, roughly how much turnover are you making per month right now? This is a good way of asking it, in my opinion, versus just like, how much do you make right now? Because if you ask someone that, they're going to be like, why does this person want to know my income? But if you ask like in the way, like, I just want to gauge the size of the business I'm dealing with, it kind of reduces that sort of sales pressure a little bit on this sort of intense question right at the top of the call. And then obviously what we want to do, okay, cool. I'm sure that you've got a growth target for the business. Where would you like to get to in 6 months? Don't go for any emotions here. We're just kind of getting a gauge of where they want to get to start to kind of create that gap, right? Now, again, speak to them like business owners. They are business owners. They definitely have growth targets for the business. So where would they like to get to? Where do they want to grow the business? We're not digging into their personal motivations. We haven't earned that vulnerability from them yet. Okay? Now, this is really the most important part of the call. No problem, no need for a solution. As simple as that. So if they don't have a problem, they're not going to have a need for your solution. So we need to be very, very clear in getting the problem out of them. The way we would ask the question is like, okay, cool. So what would you say is the biggest problem stopping you from getting to 50K a month? The goal that they just gave you here right now, if anything. So right now is important because we want to know what's happening today, not 3 years ago. Get specific, ask specific questions, get specific answers. The if anything kind of softens the question because they might be like, oh yeah, I don't have a problem. I was just interested in what you do. Well, now we can kind of push back on that and challenge that, okay? So let's go through the example of if they give you a problem, and then I'll go through the example if they don't give you a problem or they don't play ball, essentially. So prospect A is like, okay, the biggest problem for me is, and this is the notes that I would be taking at this part of the call. It's like, okay, cool, lead flow. We're not getting enough leads through the door. Okay, well, why would you say that's the biggest problem? We've only got one strategy right now. It's not diversified, so it's kind of volatile. Or I just don't know what I'm doing. We rely on word of mouth, things like this. So, okay, cool. So like, how long has this been an issue? 6 months. All right, interesting. So is that having an effect on the business? Yeah, it's causing us to kind of stagnate. We've actually gone backwards a little bit in revenue right now. Oh man, that sounds kind of stressful. Is that having an effect on you? Yeah, it's really, really stressful. Boom, in 30 seconds, you can get their biggest problem that's stopping them from hitting their goal. Their biggest problem that's stopping them from hitting their goal, how long it's been an issue, how it's affecting the business, and how it's affecting them. All of this stuff over here in these problem notes is going to be leverage for pitch. Okay, so these are the notes that I'm taking. This is all leverage for pitch right here. So then we kind of want to get them to talk us through their current process if they haven't already. Okay, again, these are not like, these questions are sort of like frameworks, not must-says, but you want to basically get a general idea of like what their biggest problem is, how long it's been going for, how's it affected the business, how's it affecting them, what's their current process look like, why do they think their current process isn't working, okay, is it really time intensive, etc., etc. Then obviously we want to understand, how many leads they are getting per week with that process. I like to hit them with like, are you happy with that question there? Because they're going to be like, no. We're kind of like opening the wound and just like sticking the knife in and kind of twisting it. We want to create pain and doubt. It's like, no, I'm not happy with that. Do you feel like you could get more? No, I don't feel like I could get more. Okay, so these are all questions to kind of create as much doubt as possible in the process. And then you can, obviously, how many do you want, right? So like, how many is your business going to get them? I'm going to explain this a little bit in the pitch, but you want to sell them what they want, right? So if you promise 15 appointments and someone wants 30, like you're going to fall a little bit short on value, right? So you might not even be able to get them 30. So maybe like you might have a problem and you might churn that client in the first month, right? So you want to kind of actually get a ballpark of what they want. Most people are only going to want like to double what they've already got. And most people are getting max 3-4 leads a week that are looking for marketing agencies from what I've seen. Okay. Now, this question here, of the X leads that you're getting per week right now with your current system, how many of them fit the criteria that you mentioned before? This is a really, really big question because everyone wants to speak to qualified leads. You know, the thing I hated most about, you know, working at EasyGrow was like talking to people that didn't have any money, or they had a business that wasn't really fit for us, and I spent an hour of my life fucking talking to someone that's never going to close. Like, it's part of the game, sure, but nobody wants that, right? So this is, again, creating more doubt. So they might be like, oh, I'm getting 6 leads at the moment. It's like, okay, how many of them fit your ideal client? It's like, oh, you know, only 2. So you're really only getting 2 leads a week. Okay, cool. Now we've got a bigger gap and a bigger problem. And then sort of on the close rate as well, you kind of, if you need to dig into the close rate there. Okay, that's an easy way to do that. So the notes that we can get from that, so it's lead flow, 6 months, stagnation, stressful, not diversified, or too time intensive, like door knocking and things like that for local businesses. Okay, so it all makes sense. We've got the problem, we've got the information. From here, we're going to go into the problem summary. Okay, so you want to summarize the problem from a place of genuine curiosity. Okay, so this is how we would do that to make sure we're on the same page, right? So, okay, cool. So, John, just to make sure we're on the same page, seems like the biggest problem holding the business back right now is a lack of diversified lead sources, which has heavily impacted the consistency and causing the business to stagnate over the last 6 months, which, as you mentioned, has been very stressful for you and in terms for you and the team in terms of payroll and survival. You know, am I on the right track there? You have to get them to agree. You have to get them to agree on this, because you're summarizing the problem, you get them to agree, cool, we're both on the same page, we understand, they're going to feel heard, they're going to feel like you're actually hearing their specific problem, not just giving them a generic pitch or anything like that. So we've got an actual problem that they're struggling with, and we're going to structure everything else around that problem summary. That's the ideal scenario. Now, the other scenario, we've all had it, is the person that comes on, it's like, I was just curious, I've got no problem, I don't need any help, I just want to get more is better, blah, 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 blah. So if someone kind of gives you kickback here or doesn't want to answer any of these questions, you know, you can kind of pull on threads, but really what we're doing here is you go to something called a problem audit. Okay, so very simply how that looks is, okay, so John, look, most people that get on these calls, they are struggling with something specifically, they're not getting enough leads, or overall the business just isn't growing how they want. However, it sounds like things are going pretty well for yourself. So in terms of your process, is there anything you'd want to change? Cool. They might give you an answer like, yeah, I'm just looking for a new and improved system to get me leads. Okay, interesting. So what is it about your system that isn't performing the way you would like then, if you're looking for something new? Oh, my system's okay. It's like, okay, well, why not just double down on your current system? Why are you looking for something new if things are going so well? Oh, my current system feels a little bit out of date. Okay, well, why does it feel out of date? Oh, you know, it's door knocking, so it's quite time intensive and the cost per lead's a little bit high. Beautiful. Now we've got a problem. Now we can summarize that. Okay, so you just really need to understand, like, even the people that don't give you a problem, if they're on the call with you, like, they are here for a reason. Business owners typically aren't just booking hour-long sales calls every single day just for the sake of it. You know, they're looking for something. We just need to figure out what that is. So, we've got the problem. We've summarized the problem. Now we kind of want to rationalize, like, why they want to make a change now and not just sit with it. So, the why now question. So, this is big for the agency space, right? Because, you know, a lot of businesses have worked with other agencies that sucked. So we need to kind of flesh that out and figure that out. So, okay, cool. Got an agreement on the problem summary. Awesome. So, like, have you worked with anyone in the past to address the issue of lead flow so you can get to 50K per month? If they say yes, perfect. Ask them what it entailed. Was it good? Was it bad? Most of the time they're going to say it's bad. What was missing that prevented them from getting to their goals? All the information you get here is really, really valuable for your pitch. Because if someone gives you like, oh, they just did Facebook ads through Go High Level and didn't work, and that's what you're pitching, you need to fucking pitch your life. You know, you need to pitch your ass off away from the fact that you're just a generic agency. You know, you need to pitch what they want, not necessarily like what you have. So you need to figure out, so, all right, well, was it the lack of communication? Did they create the ads and never speak to you again? Did they not give a refund again? Like, just figure out what they didn't do, the last agency, and pitch away from that. Like, we're going to not do this, we're going to do that, right? So if they say yes, perfect. With that in mind, what's the reason behind you looking for potential outside help again? Okay, instead of just like trying to figure it out yourself. Cool. What we're looking for here is I need to make a change to stay alive in the business. I don't want to do it myself. I don't have time to solve this problem. Things like that. If they haven't worked with anyone in the past, same things apply. Okay, you've never worked with someone. So with that in mind, what's the reason behind you looking for outside help now instead of just continuing doing what you're doing and trying to figure it out? Again, if someone gives you a bit of pushback, just challenge it. It's like, oh, I'm going to figure it out by myself. It's like, oh, okay, well, like, what made you book the call then? Why not just do that? Why not just double down on your own strategy if things are going so well? Oh, because, it could be better. Or like, why could it be better? What's it missing right now? Okay, so simple questions to kind of push away. It's very much like a push and a pull. You want to push them away if they give you kickback, and you want to pull them closer if they start giving you the right answers. From here, straight to desired. Okay, so now we've kind of earned a little bit more like vulnerability from them. We can probably start digging into, their goals. So you mentioned the goal is 50K a month and you're at 20, right? So like, why 50K a month? What will that allow you to do for the business? For these types of people, you can go straight to why X, what are your personal motivations, blah, 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 blah. But like for these sort of agency owner calls, what I've seen recently with my one-on-one clients is they want to talk business first. So you're going to be like, oh, why 50K? Why that amount? They're going to be like, oh, I want to hire more people, blah, 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 blah. So it's like you can go business first to kind of bring that guard down. Why is that important to you now? They're going to give you a little bit of, personal information in this part of the call. So, it's important for me now because, I'm getting a bit older. I want to take a bit more time off. I don't want to be going out and doing the jobs. I don't want to be, in my med spa, whatever it is. Okay. Now, this is just you don't always have to do this if the prospect's really open and anything like that. But if they're being a little bit tough, it's like, now look, there's no sales tactics here. I'm not trying to sell you a dream. But let's just say we solve your problem of lead generation and get you to 50K per month. Like, what would that do for you on a personal level? Most people are going to play ball here. Most people are going to kind of open up. They're going to kind of want to spend more time with the family, time freedom, financial freedom, less stress, things like that. Now, you have got all the permission in the world to ask follow-up questions. Why is that important for you? What's that going to do for you? How would that feel? And you can ask follow-up questions at any part of this process. Like if someone says something to you and you have a question in your mind that you feel like you want to ask, but you're not sure if it's the right thing to say, 99% of the time it's the right thing to say. Because most of the time we lose deals by not asking the questions we really want to ask and we don't get the information that we really want. Okay, so that's kind of the information we're looking to get out of desired at a pretty basic level. So from here, we obviously kind of want to go to consequence. Like, what does it look like if they sort of don't make a change? What's the outcome of that? So with the current process you have right now of door knocking, of word of mouth, of referrals, of no social media, how close do you honestly feel to getting to 50K a month and having that financial freedom that you're looking for? Ideally, they're going to say, yeah, I don't feel close at all. We're way off. We need to make a change. We need to do something different. And then you can very simply follow up with, and how much longer do you want to be running the business this way? I don't want to run the business, blah, 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 blah. If they say, oh, we're going to get there. I just want to get there quicker. It's like, okay, cool. So you just want to get there quicker. Are you not getting there as fast as you would like? No. It's like, why is it important for you to get there faster? Oh, because I want to optimize on X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, so you're not getting there as fast as you'd like. How much longer do you want to keep running the business this way? Oh, I don't want to run it this way any longer. I just want to get there faster. Like, it's the same thing. Okay, you just cycle through the questions and the ideas of what you're looking for. Is you want to make sure that they don't feel close or they can't get there as quick as they'd like, and they don't want to continue running the business this way for much longer. And that's the discovery. Now, see how that took about 20 minutes? Discovery should be about 20 minutes. Like, genuinely, that would be like an ideal time. You know, see a lot of agencies and people, some of the people I've coached where discovery goes for like 30 minutes, 35 minutes. This is when you're going to get people being like, I just want to know what you do. What are we doing? Stop asking me so many questions, blah, blah, blah. And like the resistance really increases. Be quick with your questions, ask specific questions, interrupt if you feel like they're talking too long. The best way to interrupt is like, so someone's rambling, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, okay, cool, John. That's really important information. Just quickly though, how much? And then ask your specific question. Okay, so discovery, done. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to literally just link this script in a Google Doc in the description. So if you want it, if you don't have a script, there you go. I guess I can even link the Miro board. I've never done that before, but I'll do my best to do that. But you're definitely going to have this script for you to use on your next calls. So now we've got everything we need in terms of the notes to pitch. So pitch is an interesting one in the agency space. Most people I see are pitching with a slideshow, a pre-made slideshow, breaking down what they do and what it's going to look like, and examples of other businesses that they've worked with. Now, this is fine, but funnily enough, when our most recent sales manager came in to Easy Grow, we started pitching with no screen, and my conversion rate pretty much tripled. So do with that information what you want, but pitching no screen and you being like the thing they see is really important, is really powerful in my opinion. And when they ask questions, you can then share your screen and give more information. Because if you've got a screen up in front of you, like if I was pitching you this Miro board, you'd be kind of reading it as well. You'd be like trying to find things, look at things while not really listening, etc., etc. So how we transition to the pitch. Awesome, John. Well, look, from everything you told me today, I definitely feel like we can help you get to your goal of 50K per month. If it's all right with you, I'd love to kind of run you through our process, our structure, and how it's all going to work for you to get you that goal. How's that sound? They say yes. Perfect. So, pitch. This is exactly how we pitched at Easy Grow. We did a 3-pillared process, okay? So you can do 2 pillars, 3 pillars, 4 pillars, whatever. You don't want to make the pitch like 15, 20 minutes. You want to make it like, 8 to 10 minutes ideally. Very high level, very value driven. Okay, so I'll just kind of go through this and I'll just pitch a lead generation service. All right, so, okay, cool. So obviously, John, you mentioned that the biggest problems right now was the lead flow coming in and the quality of those leads from your door knocking strategies at the moment, right? It's not really getting you the right people through the door. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you through a 3-pillared process so that we can get an automated process set up with high quality leads coming through consistently so that you don't have to do any work, and we're going to be able to manage that for you completely. So the first pillar, it's all about the ads. Okay, so what we're going to do, obviously right now you don't have any social presence, you don't have any online ads running, you don't have any qualification process, and everything's kind of coming through the door knocking, which obviously is causing you and your team a little bit of stress with, the kind of labor cost there. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up proven ads that convert effectively so that you can consistently get 15 leads every single month that are vetted and qualified and exclusive to you, never been knocked on by another company, so that you can scale up your business to 50K per month. Make sense? So basically the structure is right now you've got this problem, it's causing you this feeling. So what we're going to do is provide this solution to give you this outcome. And you can just do that for every single part of your process. So it's going to be probably at running the ads. It's going to be organizing the leads into a CRM and booking the appointments. Like there's 3 pillars right there, or sales coaching or whatever it is. For Easy Grow, it was offer audit, appointment booking systems, sales training, and support. And every single part of those pillars was, you're struggling with X, it's causing you Y, we're going to give you this solution, which is going to give you this outcome. Right? So you can see here, these notes are really important because these are the X problems you're going to be dealing with. okay, and the emotional feelings, these are the X outcomes that you want, and then you just plug in your solution. Once you get to the end of the pillar, you're going to hear me say it a lot in this video. It's like, because I'm just so used to it now. Does that make sense? Get some buy-in. You always want to get a little bit of buy-in from them at every part of the pitch to make sure they're engaged and listening. So yeah, that makes sense. That's great. Cool. In terms of what we talked about, do you feel like this would specifically help your business on the lead side? Yeah, having online presence would be great. It would definitely be generating us, more leads is what we're looking for. Perfect. Happy for me to move on. And just like every single part of the process, as you get better at it, you can even get little buy-ins as you go through the pillars. Okay? And that's pitch, right? So it's pretty straightforward. High level overview, okay? High level overview of what you do. Now, at the end of any pillar, if they ask you a question, this is when you can kind of share your screen, right? So let's say they ask you a question. It's like, okay, cool. Like, how does this look exactly? How does this exactly work? Yeah, great question, John. Would it help if I shared my screen and showed you in a little bit more detail what this process is actually going to look like? Yeah, that would be great. Beautiful. Now you share your screen. Now you show XYZ, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is what our Go High Level looks like. This is what our program looks like. This is what the one-on-one looks like. Anything, right? This is a sales process for agencies, can be done for coaches. So you can share your screen. You can show your program. You can show your Go High Level stuff. You can show your ads copies. It's great. Now, I don't know if I said this before, but the reason why I think, agencies and other coaches would really get a lot of value from pitching without a screen is because my one-on-one client, she was pitching a prospect last week or this week and almost sort of lost the deal because at the end of the kind of pitch, the ads that she had done for other clients really didn't resonate with this prospect. And the prospect was like, oh, is this the ad you're going to be running? I don't like this. It doesn't represent my brand very well. I don't want this. So she almost like pitched away the value, right? So without showing anything, you can basically have no script and just pitch what they've told you in discovery. Because at the end of the day, it's all going to boil down into you getting them more of something to give them more money. You don't really need a script for that, right? So really try not to pitch away the value. Like, make sure you pitch value, what they want and what they're looking for, not just like generic, like this is what we do. Here's a PowerPoint presentation that I've showed 60 other people in the last 2 months. Okay? So that's pitch. Pretty basic, very simple, pillared process, very straightforward. Take it in like a journey. It's a story. Give them the story of their journey with you, how the outcomes are going to happen. Cool. Any questions? Like I said, you can share your screen and see if they need more clarity. Now, I haven't said anything about price, but we pitched, but didn't end the pitch with price. Pretty much every single agency owner pitches everything and then goes, cool, and these are our packages, and then leaves the packages like on the screen for them to like fester on and look at. I don't know if that's the best way of doing it personally. You want to pitch all of the value, get them to ask questions, and then what they're going to do is like, okay, cool. So how much does it cost? Great. Very easy. This is the temp check, right? Now, like I said, I'm just going to show you guys the process we use at Imperium. I haven't put this into my one-on-one clients' processes just yet, but it's a very, very good way to to understand and figure out if they saw the value in what you've just presented. So someone goes, okay, cool, what's the price? Yeah, no, we'll definitely get to that, John. The main reason we do these calls is to make sure we've got a solid understanding of yourself and the business, just to make sure that we can help. And from our call today, I believe that we absolutely can. The most important thing for me is making sure you have a solid understanding of the process, the structure, and how this is going to work for you. So just to be 100% clear, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being, don't think this is going to help at all. 10, exactly what I'm looking for. Where do you kind of fall on this scale right now? Without price, nothing in mind, just what I've presented you, where do you fall? If they say, oh yeah, this is great, I'm like an 8 out of 10, I love it, and you they feel quite certain, perfect, 8 or above, I'm happy. Obviously you want a 10 out of 10, but if they give you an 8 or above with like a lot of certainty, perfect, that makes sense, you can kind of move on. If they give you like, yeah, I'm kind of like an 8 or anything below that, you got a bit of work to do. It's like, okay, cool. So let's say someone's like, I'm kind of like a 7 or an 8. Like, it's pretty good. I think it's going to work. Okay, cool. So fair enough, John. Like, in terms of being like maybe like a 7, let's say, like, is there anything specifically holding you back from being like a 9 out of 10? Maybe I can give you a bit more information or help. Cool. So now, before we tell them how much it costs, we're kind of like trying to pre-handle, dig out some objections. So if they're like, it's just not as exclusive as I like, or the ads aren't quite what I was looking for, or, it seems a little bit text heavy, or it'd be better if you could book the appointments, whatever they say, then you can kind of take their answer and sort of re-pitch what you're going to do. So, okay, cool, that makes sense. Well, would it be okay if I shared my screen and really dug into exactly how we're going to solve that problem for you? Re-pitch, absolute conviction, absolute certainty. And then after that, you ask that again. So it's like, all right, cool. So, I said you were kind of a 7 or an 8. Like, after I've showed you that, are you maybe a bit higher on that scale? Ideally, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's perfect. I'm like definitely an 8 or a 9 now. Or if they're like, I don't know, it's still not for me, you got a lot of work to do, So if they're not seeing the value, if you can't get them up a bit higher at this temp check, like, you can just straight up ask them, be like, look, John, like, it doesn't really seem like this is kind of what you're looking for. Like, before I get into the price, because, there's no point in me telling you the price if you don't like what we do. Like, just tell me, what would make this perfect for you? They might not be able to give you an answer, which means they don't know, so they're just being a bit hard. Or they might give you exactly what they want, and then you can be like, oh, well, this is actually, we also have that. I just didn't explain that clearly enough. Okay, so this is just getting leverage to figure out kind of where you are and how much work you have to do before you pitch. Before you deliver price. So, perfect scenario, we've got them at a solid 8 or 9 or 10. They love it. This is what they're looking for. Perfect. So, now we deliver price. Pitch as a full pay up front so you have leverage in money for payment plans. This is going to make more sense in a little bit, okay? But at EasyGrow, we pitched the full pay price. Obviously, we had payment plans, but people didn't know that until later in the call. So for an agency, let's say you do $1,000 a month retainer, it's a 3-month contract. Instead of pitching $1,000 a month, because you basically have no leverage after that point, you want to pitch it like this. Okay, cool. So to work with us and have access to everything we've covered, it is just $3,000 for 3 months so that we can get you more appointments through the door. You can have more freedom, more time, just make a whole lot more money. So that's the costing structure and how everything works. Cool. Now, a lot of people say, like, you pitch the price and then you shut up and the first person to speak loses. When I first joined EasyGrow and I was first selling, Charlie kind of preached like price and then don't say anything. But this would literally, I had calls where we would sit in silence, camera off for like 5 to 10 minutes. And then like they would just hang up. Well, it was just insane. So pitch the price, then sit back and let them digest for like 5 to 10 seconds, 15 seconds max. If they don't say anything, then you can ask them how they feel about that. Not what do you think? Does that work? How do you feel about that? Because that is going to get a better answer than like, oh, does that work for you? It's like, whoa, chill out. It's like, let's relax, okay? So, but most of the time you're going to deliver the price, and what are they going to say? All right, Louis, sounds good. Leave it with me. I just need to think about this. I need to talk to my partner. I need to talk to my dog, whatever. They're going to just say whatever, because everything up until this point has been going one direction. And once you deliver the price, the entire thing changes. Everything changes. Now they have to give you money to get what they've been talking about for the last 35 minutes. So everything changes. Okay, cool. So someone's like, I just need to think about it. All right, perfect. So let me just move this over here. Okay, so got it. Completely understand. So this is the retie. Before I get into it, this is called the retie. Okay. So the retie is basically what we do before we start handling what everyone wants to know about, the objections. Okay. Because if someone says, I want to think about it, and you just go, what do you want to think about? Sales resistance is just gone up tenfold. It's like, oh, do you have the money? Like you just, this is where we need to slow everything down. Slow everything down. And now you need to lead and control the pace and the tempo of the call. Okay, so if I get my little pen out. All right, so they say I want to think about it. Okay, understand, hear you, John. Just in terms of the process and everything that we have gone through, do you feel like this is what you're looking for? So this is the first retie question, okay? Now, you can ask this question as in like from genuine curiosity. Like it makes sense. It's logical to ask this question. Everything I've showed you and the price I've given you, is this what you're looking for? But ask it in this way exactly. Ideally, they're going to say, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Cool. Do you feel like this is going to get you to 50K per month? Because that is the most important thing to me. Again, ask for a place of curiosity. Yes, absolutely. I love it. Okay, cool. Why? Oh, you're going to do this, this, and this. This is what I've been wanting to do for the last 2 years. Like I've been researching this. This is great. That if you get this, you are absolutely laughing. This is fantastic. You're going to close this deal. Okay. So what we're looking for is 100% certainty. Now, if you ask this question and they say, oh yeah, I think it's kind of what I'm looking for, you got to call it out. You have to call it out. You can't try and like close someone if they don't actually want the thing. So it's like, oh yeah, I kind of think this is what I'm looking for. And I just be like, you sure? Doesn't really sound like this is what you're looking for. They'll be like, oh, I don't know. Like it's just, I just need to think about it. So, all right, well, like, is there anything that this is missing? And again, you just go back into it. You're just like trying to figure out like the truth. Do they want to do this? Do they think this is going to be worth it? So if they don't see if they give you like 10%, right? Or 50%, whatever. Okay. You know, lack of certainty. What we're going to do is we're going to dip out and we're going to handle this stuff. Okay, we're going to figure out why they've got a lack of certainty about the process. And then once we handle this objection, we go through, they might give you the objection. They might just be like, oh, you know, I've been burnt in the past before, or I've never done anything like this. All right, it's like, okay, cool. No, I can appreciate that you've been burnt in the past, you know, but just in terms of what we have here, like, do you think this is what you're looking for this time? Or do you think this is like a little bit different? You can go over here and sort of handle the objection a little bit. And this is kind of getting a little bit too deep for what I want to go through today. And you can kind of deal with that objection over here, but then you always just want to come back in to the retie. Okay. So it's just like a funnel. You're just like funneling them down. So let's say you get 100% certainty here, you're happy, or you go and handle it. And then you kind of talk it through with them and everyone's happy, blah, 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 blah. We cross off the first box. So this is what we're doing. Okay, we're crossing off boxes. So we're crossing off boxes to funnel them down to where we want to take them, basically. All right, cool. So we got 100% certainty. Okay, so now we want to make sure they see the value. Okay, so cool. So let's just say we get you onboarded and we got you to 50K a month. We gave you the ability to see your family more often. Would that be worth the 3K to you? I mean, they have to say yes, right? But some people might say no. Like when I was selling EasyGrow, it's a 10K thing. So it's like, you know, would it be worth 10K to get to 10K a month or whatever? Some people are like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. It might be. Again, what are we looking for? We're looking to cross this box off. Okay, so do they 100% see the value? If they give you anything less like this, it's like, I think it would be. It's like, whoa, I just want to take a big step back, John. So, like, just for you, like, where's the misalignment of value? Like, you're saying, like, if I got you to 50K a month, this wouldn't be worth it. And he might be like, yeah, but if you get me there. Okay, cool. So now it's like another objection around, like, if this is going to actually work. So, again, you might have to kind of, like, handle it a little bit. And then you just want to dip back in. ideally, right, you've pitched so well, you've pitched so good, you've had such a great discovery that they're just saying, love it, love it, love it, love it. Now, you want to be a little bit careful if people kind of yes train you through these questions. So you really have to listen. Listen to their words. Watch them on the screen. Like, what's their body language? How are they acting? And then we get to this part down here where it's like, okay, cool. So sounds like this is something that you want to do, right? And they say, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And we have finally arrived, ladies and gentlemen, to what you all love, objection handling. Okay? Now, objection handling is probably not what most of you think. There are logistical objections and there are real objections. Okay? Well, there are logistical objections and there's fear-based objections. So there's only 4 objections. Money, partner, time, and fear. And then in fear, there's like another 5 or 6. And you have to handle them in order. So what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to get leverage. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to get leverage that this person has told me that they want to do this. They want to do it and they see the value. So we're getting more leverage that this is what they're looking for. Now we go to money. Always go to money first. I should have probably done this as like a hierarchy, money, partner, time, but it looks a little bit cleaner this way. But money is number 1. If they don't have the money, no sale is getting done. No amount of objection handling is going to get around the fact that they don't have the money. Okay? So a little story. When I first joined Easy Grow, okay, we didn't have this framework. And I would be on sales calls for 2 hours trying to objection handle people, and they would just be like, I don't have the money, and I'm like thinking it's a smokescreen. But in reality, they literally just didn't have the money. So what we do and how we do this effectively is we assume that these three logistical things are true until proven otherwise. Okay, so if someone's like, this sounds like something that you want to do, and they're like, yeah, this is definitely want to do, I just don't have the money right now. Okay, perfect. Let's have that conversation. Now, if that hasn't come up, this is how you kind of get into this. So, okay, cool. Is that 3K doable for you? Also as well, someone might say, like, as soon as you deliver price, oh, this sounds great, I just don't have that money right now. Okay, perfect, John. We can get into the financial side of things in a second. That's the easy part. But what I want to know is, in terms of the process and the structure, everything we've gone through, do you feel like this is what you're looking for? Just follow the process, guys. We're going to get there, okay? So, cool. We tick off the certainty. Now we're in the money. It's like, okay, cool. So, you mentioned like the 3K or the 10K is not quite doable for you at the moment. Is that right? They're like, yes. Okay, cool. So, I mean, are there any ways we can maybe make this work so that you can get your problem solved and get yourself to this outcome like you want? Like, is there any way we can maybe get the money together? And they might be like, look, you know, I've got maybe like half of it. I can probably get the other half later. Guys, you have to get a figure. Like, I do not care what it takes. You need to figure out exactly how much money they have available right now. So when I was at Easy Grow, it's like, okay, cool. Like, how much money do you have? Like, cash on hand. Like, what's your, like, and it's like, look, man, just shoot me straight. Like, if you don't mind being transparent, like, where are you at with the money? Do you have stock, crypto, whatever? If they want it bad enough, and if they have told you they want this thing, they should want to figure out how to pay for it. Like, this is what we're looking for. Like, leverage. We've got leverage now. So, okay, cool, money. So, and they might say, look, man, I've got like $1,200 right now. I can probably get the rest later. Perfect. What do we have? We have leverage for payment plans. And they have no idea that you can do payment plans. Okay, so, okay, cool. They bring up a payment plan. It's like, look, most clients do tend to pay up front. However, in this situation, given that you're 100% ready to go, right? They're like, yeah, I'm in. You definitely want to do this. It's just money getting in the way. We can break this up into a payment plan. And what we can do is we can do 1K a month for the next 3 months. Would that work for you? And if you've done everything right, they're going to be like, yeah, that's perfect. Let's go. But we all know how this game goes. It's probably not going to happen like that. But what have we got? Now we know for a fact that they can afford the 3K ideally, or they can, it's so annoying, or they can afford the payment plan. we know they have the money before we presented the payment plan. So we have leverage to figure out if they've got the money. So ideally, we cross off the money box. Just like that. Okay? Cool. Partner. If there's no partner involved, cross that off. If they haven't brought up a partner all call, there probably isn't a partner. Or, they might say up here, yeah, this all sounds great. I just need to speak to my partner. Okay, cool. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that in a second. But in terms of you specifically, the process and everything we've gone through, is this what same thing, okay? So ideally, we figure out the money. We figure out if they've got the 3K or if they can do a payment plan. One thing that's really important, if someone's like, oh yeah, I've got the 3K, don't take that at face value. Because a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I've got the 3K, but it's in some checking account or some business account that they don't have access to right now. And then you go, okay, cool, what card do you want to put it on? They're like, oh, I can't pay today. I need 24 hours. It's like, fuck. So if they're like, yeah, I've got the 3K. It's like, okay, cool. So you got 3K in the account kind of ready to go today. And they're like, if they say, yes, I'm ready, perfect. But you should really get specific on where that money is and if they have it. Cool, there's no partner. And say, oh cool, you've got the time to start, today, nothing coming up, anything like that. Perfect. Time. We've ticked off the boxes. If we've ticked off every box, they definitely want to do it. They've got the money, there's no partner, and they're ready to go. That's a closed deal. Closed deal. Now, this is where we're getting juicy. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about fear and then I'm going to talk about the deposit. Okay, so they've got the money. There's no partner. There's no timing objections. And you say, all right, cool. Should we get started then? And they go, look, man, I really just need 24 hours to think about it. Now we know for a fact that we are in fear. They are scared of making this decision. And now, as you all love to do, you can objection handle to your heart's desire. And you can sit on this call for hours if you have to close a deal, because it is just fear. And this is what we get paid for. As closers, as agency owners, whatever, this is where you make your money. You make your money being able to handle fear objections. So we are in fear, baby, and it is time to fucking close. So ideally, you're at this point of the call around 45 minutes, 50 minutes in. And go nuts. Because the longer you objection handle, the more the time... Okay, this is going to be helpful. So if you look at it, there's two graphs, okay? So the first graph is time, okay, and decision-making ability. As the time increases, their ability to make a decision decreases. So the more time you spend on a call, the harder it is for that person to make the decision. But also, when you're at this part of the call, you've got time and intensity of what you're saying. Okay, so you don't want to go straight out of the box like, you need to do this for your family, you need to make a change, because they're just gonna be like, what the fuck? You want to ramp up the intensity as the time goes on. Okay, so you need to be aware of these two factors. So we're in fear now, okay? They've got the money, there's no partner, and they've got the time to do it, and they're ready to start today or tomorrow, whatever. Cool. So they just say, I just need 24 hours to think about it. Diffuse. Look, man, I can appreciate, and again, you need to slow the fuck down. Pace comes down, okay? I'll slow myself down. This is something I struggle with a lot. As you can tell, I speak really quickly. So bring that pace down. So, okay, look, I appreciate it, man. For you, over the next 24 hours, what boxes need to be ticked in your mind? What needs to line up for you to say, I want to go ahead with this? Such a good question. Now they're going to give you a criteria. I just need to do whatever. I just need to do my due diligence. I just need to make sure I've got the money available. I just need to whatever. Okay? And honestly, you can just call it out. It's like, if they don't give you a good answer here, like if they give you a good answer, you go over here and you handle whatever the fuck they said. Okay? If they're like, look, I just need to think about it. Is it just a case of some hesitancy coming in around this decision, or a little bit of fear? It's like, yeah, it is. Cool. So what are the fear objections? Fear of the past. Burnt in the past. Have they worked with another agency? Okay, what did that look like? What didn't work about them? Did they have a good conversation? Do they want to let that past experience get in the way? That's the first reframe. I'm going to do whole training on reframes, but for now, just say what you need to say to handle the objection. So fear of the past, fear of making the wrong decision. Okay, so I'm speaking to a couple of agencies right now. Fear of you, trust. Fear of the future, making the next payments on the payment plan. Is this going to work quick enough so I can make those payments? These are the objections. This is where you're going to make your money. Okay? If you can handle these fears, you're going to make a lot of fucking money. And which is, why I was making 10, 12, 15, 17K month commissions at Imperium. Because I followed this and I'd get into fear and I would not get off that call until they were closed or they hung up. So that's the process. Now, does that make sense? See, it's pitch. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that all kind of makes sense and you guys can follow it. Okay. Now, the deposit framework, okay, is a little bit different. So let's say we've gone through all of this and I'll do it for money and partner. Time is kind of a bullshit one. You should be able to get over time anyway. So let's just say, let's just say we get to money and they're like, yeah, I could get the 3K in a week. I literally don't have any money right now. It's like, okay, cool. Just so if you don't mind being transparent, how much is available right now, just to see if we can make something work. And they're like, I got $250. Okay, fair enough. But the money's coming in a week, 100%. And in a week's time, we're going to get started. There's no partner, whatever. Yeah, it's just the money. I just don't have it right now. I definitely want to do it. Okay, perfect. So what do? Is we go for a deposit. Because what we're just trying to do is figure out the truth, right? If they're actually telling us the truth. So, deposit framework. Cool. Everything's lining up. They just don't have money in the bank account. Awesome, John. So what we do in this situation is just standard practice. We process a small refundable down payment to get your foot in the door. I can start setting up the account. So when the money comes in next week, everything's going to be set up and we can hit the ground running. If you're happy to, we can process that deposit now on the call today. If you've done everything right and they definitely want to do it, they will pay the deposit. Make sense? But if they say, I'd rather just wait till next week, they're lying. So you have to challenge that. It's like, whoa, I just want to take a big step back, John. It's like, I've done a lot of these calls. Typically when the person I'm speaking to definitely wants to do it, they see the value. Look how much leverage we've got from asking these questions. This is what he's told me. So you've told me you definitely want to do it and you see the value and you don't want to pay the deposit. I've done enough calls to know that there's something going on. There's something that I've missed. What's really going on? Now we've got the truth and they might say, I've actually just worked with an agency in the past and I don't want to make the same wrong decision. Perfect. Now, they're going to be real in the money thing. The money thing the money probably isn't there if you've done this correctly. But if you want to handle, deposits are gold. Deposits close at 60, 70%. Not getting any money down and then waiting and booking a follow-up for next week, most of them aren't going to show up, right? So you want to get that deposit, lock them in. So just handle the fear objection and push for that fucking deposit as you would be pushing for the full amount. Because any money on the call is important, okay? Now, let's say that the money is, we've ticked off money, okay? But they have a partner. Okay, cool. So what do? We go to the partner's process. So we retie the partner. Cool. Are they aware you're on the call? Do they also want to solve this problem? What would you do if they say no? Is this a permission or an FYI conversation? If they say FYI, try and close them. Okay. But if it's permission, perfect. Go for the deposit. cool. Standard practice, what we do, if it's just a partner, we'll process the deposit, refundable deposit of $150, and we'll get on a call with you and your partner tomorrow. I'll go through everything again. If everything lines up, we can get started. If they say no, there's going to be something underneath that. Okay, so it's like, cool. Again, there's a lot more to all of this, and I can go over it in my course and in my trainings in the future, but it would take literally like 100 hours. So like, if it's a permission conversation, it's like, okay, cool. So you definitely want to do this. Like, you definitely want to solve this problem. Yes, I do. Okay, cool. And like, you know, let's play it out. Like, let's say you go to your partner and you don't put down the deposit, and you say to your partner, I found this thing, I think it's going to help our business solve our problem. It's 3K, it's 10K. I think we should get on a call. They're probably going to say no because they've got no context to what we've talked about today. Versus the conversation where you go to your partner, look, I found this thing, I put down a deposit, it's definitely what we need for our business, I really think it's going to help. It's just, those two conversations are really different. Is that fair to say, John? And he's going to be like, yes. Okay, so should we get that deposit down today so we can lock it in and make sure you guys put yourself in the best position moving forward to get to your goal? Perfect. So if you've done everything right, they should pay that deposit. Boom, pay the deposit, book in a follow-up for next week. Cool. And then most of the time it's going to close. Sometimes it might not. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like, that is literally Charlie Morgan, Easy Grow's sales process. And this is how you close with process, okay? And if you just literally funnel this person down all the way here to the very bottom, you should close this deal, right? And at any point, if you get pulled out of it, you just come back in and you just keep following the process. And you're going to have leverage from discovery. You're going to have leverage on money, leverage on partner, leverage on time, and know that they're in fear. And this is how you're going to close more deals. Okay, so this is the video I've been wanting to make for a very, very long time. I really, really hope that this helps. I'm going to add a link to the discovery script in the description. I'll also probably add a link to this Miro board. I'll get rid of all the writing for you guys so that you can sort of have this, train it, understand it, watch this video again, and just start implementing this process into your sales calls. Now, one other thing I would say is don't do it all at once, okay? So first thing I would change would be the discovery. Actually, no, sorry, ignore that. First thing I would do would be add this part. I would literally add from here down. So I'd add the retie, the logistical objection, and the objection handling stuff. Okay? Keep everything else the same. Try this process out. See how you go. Then I would change discovery. Then I would change pitch. Then I would change price. And there you have it. You got $1 million a month sales process at your fingertips so that you guys can close more deals. So yeah, like I said, I'm finally sort of released of my chains of content that I can create, no longer at Easy Grow. So I'm going to be giving you guys a whole lot of stuff. And honestly, man, like, I could literally make 100 hours of videos on the sales process, on the minute details. And that's what I'm going to put into the course. But this is like the bare bones and what you need to kind of close some more deals. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this one. So yeah, all the best on your calls. If you have any questions, you can pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you guys. See you on the next one.